If you are 62 years old right now, you are facing a decision worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And almost nobody around you is telling you the honest math behind it. You are watching friends file early, hearing relatives brag about getting their checks fast. You are wondering if waiting longer is smart planning or just financial fear dressed up nicely. Here is the truth most retirement articles will not say clearly out loud to you. Claiming Social Security at 62 is one of the most expensive decisions Americans make. Not because the government tricks you, but because the math quietly punishes early filers for life. Today we are going to walk through the honest numbers, the real trade-offs, and the emotional traps. By the end, you will know exactly when claiming early actually makes sense and when it destroys you. You will also know the exact phrases to use when family members pressure you to file early. So take a breath, because this is the calm, clear conversation you should have had years ago. Let me start by validating something important before we touch a single calculation or chart. If you are tempted to claim at 62, you are not lazy, greedy, or financially careless. You are tired, and tired people make decisions that promise relief instead of long-term strength. Maybe your job has worn you down, your back hurts, your boss is impossible right now. Maybe layoffs hit your industry and you cannot find work that pays anything close to before. Maybe you watched your father die at 67 and you think waiting is a gamble. These feelings are real, and we will respect them, but feelings should not run the math. Because Social Security is not just a check, it is a lifetime income contract you sign once. Whatever number you lock in at 62 follows you, your spouse, and your survivor for decades. So let us talk about what that contract actually costs when you sign it 5 years too early. Here is how the system really works in plain-spoken English without any government jargon clouding it. Your full retirement age, for most people watching this, is somewhere between 66 and 67. That is the age the Social Security Administration considers your 100% benefit number. If you claim at 62, you do not just get a slightly smaller check for a while. You permanently lock in a benefit that is roughly 30% lower than your full retirement amount. 30%, forever, every month, for the rest of your natural life on this earth. And if you wait past full retirement age, your benefit grows about 8% each additional year. 8% guaranteed, backed by the United States Treasury, with no market risk attached anywhere. Try finding that return in any safe investment product being sold to retirees in America today. You cannot, because it does not exist outside of delayed Social Security retirement credits. So when someone says claim early and invest the difference, ask them which investment guarantees 8%. The honest answer is none, and that is the entire foundation of this conversation right here. Now let us put real numbers on this so the trade-off stops feeling abstract and starts feeling concrete. Imagine your full retirement benefit at age 67 would be $2,000 per month. If you claim at 62, that drops to about $1,400 per month for life. If you wait until age 70, that climbs to roughly $2,480 per month. That is a $1,000 monthly gap between filing early and filing as late as possible. $12,000 a year. Across a 30-year retirement, that is $360,000. And that is before any cost of living adjustments compound on top of the higher base amount. Cost of living adjustments are calculated as a percentage of your benefit, so bigger benefit means bigger raises. The early filer gets smaller raises every year because they started from a smaller foundation in the first place. This is how the gap between early and late filers actually widens over time, not narrows. People assume waiting only matters if you live to 90, but the break-even math says otherwise. Most calculators show break-even around age 78 to 80 for someone deciding between 62 and 70. The average 62-year-old American today is expected to live well past that break-even point. For women, the expected lifespan is even longer, which makes early claiming an especially expensive choice for them. If you are married, the stakes get even bigger, because survivor benefits are tied to the higher earner. Here is the part most couples never hear from their well-meaning financial advisor at the local branch. When one spouse dies, the survivor keeps the larger of the two Social Security checks, not both. So if the higher-earning spouse claimed at 62, the survivor inherits that permanently reduced amount. A smaller check has to support a widow or widower for potentially 15, 20, or 30 more years. Filing early does not just shrink your retirement, it shrinks your spouse's protection after you are gone forever. Let me say that again, because this point alone changes the entire decision for many married couples watching. Your early claim becomes your spouse's permanent income floor for every year they outlive you on this planet. Now I want to talk about why people still file at 62, even when the math is clear. Because this decision is rarely about logic, it is almost always about something deeper underneath the surface. The first reason is fear, specifically the fear that the government will somehow take your benefit away. You have heard it your entire life. Social Security is going broke, get yours before it disappears. Here is the calm truth. The program is not vanishing, and panic claiming is not the right response. Even in worst-case scenarios, the trust fund shortfall would mean reduced benefits, not eliminated benefits. And those potential adjustments would apply to early and late filers proportionally, so rushing change is nothing meaningful. Filing early to beat a collapse you cannot predict is fear dressed up as financial wisdom. It is panic with a paperwork trail, and it costs you real money for the rest of your life. The second reason people file early is exhaustion, and this one I genuinely respect and understand. If your body cannot do your job anymore, that is a real constraint, not a psychological one. But before you file, ask whether part-time work could bridge the gap to full retirement age instead. Ask whether a less physical job could carry you for 3 or 4 more years comfortably. Ask whether your spouse's income could support delaying your benefit while yours grows quietly in the background. Sometimes the answer is no, and early filing becomes the right choice for that specific situation. But the question deserves to be asked honestly before you sign a contract that lasts 30 years. The third reason is the break-even gamble, the idea that you might not live long enough to benefit. People say I would rather get something now than wait and die before I collect anything at all. I understand that emotion, but Social Security is not a bet on your lifespan. It is longevity insurance. You are not trying to win the actuarial table, you are trying to protect against living too long. Because the real financial disaster is not dying early, it is outliving your money in your late 80s. Dying early means your problems end, but outliving your savings means decades of stress, dependency, and hardship. A larger Social Security check is the cheapest insurance against that outcome you can possibly buy anywhere. The fourth reason people file early is debt pressure, and this one deserves a careful, honest answer. If you are drowning in credit card balances at 62, early Social Security feels like a lifeline. But filing early to service consumer debt locks you into permanently lower income to fix a temporary problem. You are trading 30 years of higher checks to escape a balance you could restructure another way. Look at 0% balance transfers, look at nonprofit credit counseling, look at cutting expenses aggressively first. The math almost always favors solving the debt directly rather than shrinking your lifetime income to mask it. The fifth reason is social pressure, watching neighbors file early and feeling like you are missing out. Your brother-in-law brags at Thanksgiving about his early checks, and you start questioning your own plan. Here's a phrase to memorize and use the next time someone tells you to file at 62. That does not fit my plan. Short, calm, final. You owe nobody an explanation beyond that line. You can also say, the math does not support that for my situation, and leave it right there. You do not have to defend a decision based on decades of compounding to someone who skipped the spreadsheet. Now, let me give you the advanced nuance, because this video would feel shallow without it being honest. There are real situations where claiming at 62 is actually the correct mathematical and emotional choice. If you have a serious health condition with a clearly shortened life expectancy, early filing can make sense. If your spouse is significantly younger and a higher earner, your early claim might fit a strategic plan. If you have zero savings, no income, and no job prospects, survival sometimes outranks optimization in retirement. If you are eligible for spousal benefits later, claiming your own early can occasionally fit a coordinated strategy. These cases exist, and a good fee-only fiduciary planner can help you identify whether yours qualifies. But notice how specific these exceptions are. They are not the default, they are the edge cases. The default for a healthy 62-year-old with options is almost always to wait if possible. Let me give you a real example of how this plays out in actual American households every single year. Picture a couple, both 62, both healthy, both tired of working in jobs they no longer love. The husband earned more during his career, around $90,000 a year before retiring last spring. His full retirement benefit at 67 would be roughly $2,700 every month. If he files now at 62, he walks in about $1,900 per month forever. If he waits until 70, his check grows to roughly $3,350 monthly. The difference between filing now and waiting until 70 is about $1,400 every single month. Across a 30-year retirement for him and his wife, that gap is over $500,000. $500,000 simply for being patient with a decision he was about to make in panic. And if he dies first, his wife keeps the higher check, so waiting protects her income too. This is the kind of math that gets buried under emotion, exhaustion, and the noise of bad advice. Now let me give you a clear, practical framework you can actually use to make this decision wisely. First, get your real numbers, not your guess, from the official Social Security Administration website directly. Create your account, download your statement, and look at your benefit at 62, 67, and 70. Second, calculate your household cash flow needs honestly, including healthcare, housing, taxes, and realistic lifestyle expenses. Third, identify every income source available to you, including savings, investments, pensions, part-time work, and rental income. Fourth, ask whether you can bridge the gap between now and full retirement age using those other sources first. If the answer is yes, even barely, waiting is almost always the financially superior decision for you. Fifth, consider your spouse, your health, and your family longevity history when running these projections together. Sixth, write down your reasoning so you can review it calmly when emotions try to override your logic later. This is not about being perfect, it is about being deliberate instead of reactive about a permanent choice. Now let me decode the deeper psychology, because this decision is rarely just about money in the end. Claiming at 62 often signals something bigger than retirement, timing happening underneath the surface of someone's life. Sometimes it is exhaustion that has been ignored for years and finally demanded an exit at any cost. Sometimes it is fear of the future disguised as practicality, grabbing certainty because uncertainty feels unbearable right now. Sometimes it is identity loss, the need to declare yourself officially retired so the world stops asking. Sometimes it is a lack of trust in institutions, in markets, in tomorrow, so today feels safer. These are human reasons, not stupid ones, and they deserve to be acknowledged before being challenged carefully. But Social Security timing is not the right tool to solve emotional exhaustion or institutional distrust either. If you are burned out, the answer might be a sabbatical, a job change, or part-time work first. If you distrust the future, the answer might be diversifying your income sources, not locking in less guaranteed money. If you are losing your sense of identity, the answer is rebuilding purpose, not rushing the paperwork. The right tool for the right problem, that is the heart of mature financial decision-making always. Let me also clearly separate healthy caution from fear-based caution, because they look similar but behave differently. Healthy caution says, I have run the numbers, I have a bridge plan, I am choosing intentionally with clarity. Fear-based caution says, I want certainty now because I cannot tolerate the discomfort of waiting any longer. Healthy caution protects your future. Fear-based caution protects your nervous system at the future's expense entirely. Both feel like wisdom in the moment, but only one of them actually creates wealth and security. The difference is whether you are responding to math or responding to emotion in disguise of math. Here is a non-verbal discipline tool that helps with this decision more than any spreadsheet ever could. Pause for 90 days before filing, just 90 days. Not forever, not 5 years, just 90 days. Use those days to run the numbers, talk to a fiduciary, sleep on it, and let panic settle. If after 90 days the decision still feels right with full math behind it, then proceed confidently. But most people who pause find that the urgency they felt was emotional, not actually financial in nature. Urgency is almost always a sign that someone or something is selling you a decision you would regret. When you slow down, the right answer usually rises to the surface on its own, without coercion. Let me give you a few more spoken phrases to keep in your back pocket for this conversation. I am not filing early to impress anyone. I can wait. My priority is long-term household income. I need flexibility, not pressure. I am choosing freedom over relief. The numbers have to support this choice. These are not motivational slogans, they are decision filters you can actually use under real family pressure. When your brother says file now, you say that does not fit my plan, and move on calmly. When your neighbor brags about her early checks, you smile and say, glad it works for you. You do not owe anyone a debate, a defense, or a detailed explanation of your retirement strategy. You owe yourself a decision built on numbers, not on the loudest voice at the family dinner. Now let me address one final myth that traps a lot of smart people right at this exact age. The myth is claim early and invest the difference. You will come out ahead in the long run. On paper, this sounds clever. In practice, it almost never actually works for the average American retiree. It assumes you will invest every dollar of that smaller check, never spend it, and earn high returns. It assumes you will not panic during market downturns, which retirees historically tend to do quite often. It assumes you can match an 8% guaranteed return, which simply is not available without market risk. And it ignores the fact that a higher Social Security check protects you against sequence of returns risk. Sequence of returns risk is the danger of bad markets early in retirement, permanently damaging your portfolio's longevity. A larger guaranteed income floor means you withdraw less from investments during downturns, protecting your portfolio's long-term survival. That benefit alone, in many models, makes delaying Social Security one of the strongest portfolio protection strategies available. So the invest the difference argument falls apart under any honest stress test of real retirement conditions. Let me bring this all together now, because I want you to leave with clarity, not just information. Claiming Social Security at 62 is not always wrong, but it is rarely right by default. For most healthy Americans with options, waiting to full retirement age or beyond is the smarter financial choice. For married couples, delaying the higher earner's benefit is often the single best decision you can make. For anyone tempted by fear, exhaustion, or social pressure, 90 days of stillness will reveal the truth. For anyone who has already filed early, do not punish yourself. Just optimize everything else from here forward. You can still build a strong retirement. You just have to be sharper with the rest of your plan. The deeper truth here is not really about Social Security at all when you step back and look honestly. It is about who controls your money decisions, your fear, your fatigue, your family, or your own clarity. Every major financial choice in your life follows the same pattern as this one in the end. You can react, or you can decide. You can rush, or you can run the numbers carefully. You can chase relief, or you can build freedom slowly and deliberately, one good choice at a time. Social Security at 62 is just a mirror, showing you how you make every other money decision too. If you can pause here, you can pause anywhere. If you can think clearly here, you can think anywhere. That is the real wealth, not the size of the check, but the quality of the mind behind it. So before you file, before you sign, before you let anyone rush you, take one full breath first. Then ask yourself the only question that ever truly matters in moments like this one, right now. Does this decision serve the person I want to be in 20 years, or only the one I am today? If the answer is 20 years from now, you already know what to do without anyone else telling you. If you found this helpful, take a moment to think about your own Social Security timing decision honestly. Share your thoughts in the comments, especially if you waited or filed early and learned something important from it. Subscribe if you want more calm, clear, honest financial conversations like this one delivered to you regularly. Because the people who think slowly about money are the people who eventually live freely because of it. You are not behind, you are not foolish, you are simply someone who decided to think before acting. And that, more than any single benefit check, is what will carry you through retirement with quiet strength.